Hi everyone, my name is Patricia Alvarez, and I will be presenting the future of marriage and family therapy professions. This is for the Department of Psychology at the Alliant International University, and it is for Dr. Lucy Bathy's Law and Ethics course. Today I will be discussing the application of the AAMFT Code of Ethics, the importance of cultural competency, targeting integrative care, and the future of MFT as a profession. And I will be discussing the importance of awareness and sensitivity when applying the AAMFT Code of Ethics from a multicultural lens. For this assignment, I had the privilege of interviewing two practicing professionals, which gave me insight to their current personal experience within the LMFT and LCSW fields. Throughout this presentation, I will share both direct quotes and summaries of the responses that were given. For the sake of confidentiality, I will refer to the participants as Elise and Sabina. Elise is a licensed clinical social worker. She has a private practice to which she is also a clinical manager. She received her master's degree from California State University of San Marcos and began clinical practice in 2022. She currently has English and Spanish speaking patients and primarily works out of San Diego, but also provides virtual sessions for in-state patients. Savina is a licensed marriage and family therapist who is contracted through Rula, an online mental health platform for professionals. She has 22 years of experience in the mental health field and was previously in law school. She mentioned that she was initially set on being a lawyer, but tended to speak to clients on a personal level and felt called to the profession when she was introduced to the mental health field. The role of law and ethics in the marriage and family therapy profession. For this section, interviewees were asked, what role do law and ethics play in your profession? Elise stated that law and ethics always play a crucial and important role and remain an underlying guidance in decision making that affects treatment plans. Savina stated that law and ethics is something we must always be up to date with. She stated that these regulations help keep the clients protected as much as possible. The AAMFT Code of Ethics, Legal Obligations. According to the California Business and Professions Code, Section 480, licensed professionals are required to apply for relicensure every 2 years. As of July 2023, we are required to have 36 hours of continuing education, 6 of which must be regarding law and ethics. Our position as professional mental health clinicians requires that we remain aware of our responsibility to abide by current legal and ethical standards. Both participants mentioned they were required to continue education, but I did notice that they both responded to the question from more of an ethical stance. They were both very aware of their responsibility to create safe spaces for their patients. Current challenges in the MFT profession. For this section, interviewees were asked, what are the current challenges you face in your professional role? Both interviewees mentioned that they have experienced being understaffed and in high demand. They expressed that they had not been prepared for this during graduate school. Elise mentioned that a challenge she has recently faced was that many of her patients' insurance plans were faulty, sometimes ending before patients felt they were ready to finish services. This raised ethical questions for her because at times patients were unable to receive continuous care. This was especially challenging within underserved communities because of the prevalent stigma there is around mental health to begin with. Savina mentioned that a current challenge she faces is providing substantial and relevant trauma-informed care after the pandemic. She mentioned that there are many clients who are still healing from the loss of family members due to the pandemic, and it is at times challenging because she feels there is always something new to learn about. She also shared that she has had to provide ethical guidance to patients when they have experienced maltreatment by previous therapists. This was especially interesting to me because although I am aware of my personal obligations to provide ethical care, I was not aware of my liability and obligation to inform patients about other therapists' malpractice. The AAMFT Code of Ethics, Ethical Obligations. According to the basics of California law for LMFTs, LPCCs, and LCSWs, as professional mental health clinicians, we have an ethical responsibility to be advocates in our communities. In the previous slides, both participants have expressed that they had challenges providing ethical care to patients due to insurance issues that affected continuity of care, and due to the personal difficulty of reporting other fellow clinicians. Although I understand our personal responsibilities to provide ethical care, I am aware that there are some systemic issues that are unfortunately not entirely in our control. It is our responsibility as mental health clinicians to work with each other in overcoming legal and ethical challenges despite systemic discrepancies. Ethical obligations. According to the AAMFT Code of Ethics, ethical standards are rules of practice upon which the marriage and family therapist is obliged and judged. The introductory paragraph to each standard in the AAMFT Code of Ethics is an aspirational, explanatory orientation to the enforceable standards that follow. The Code of Ethics highlights that AAMFT members have an obligation to be familiar with the AAMFT Code of Ethics and its application to their professional services. Lack of awareness or misunderstanding of an ethical standard is not a defense to a charge of unethical conduct. Ethical standards. The AAMFT Code of Ethics has 9 standards that elaborate the ethical obligations to which marriage and family therapists are bound to. These standards include responsibility to clients, confidentiality, professional competence and integrity, responsibility to students and supervisees, research and publication, technology-assisted professional services, professional evaluations, financial arrangements, and advertising. Cultural sensitivity. For this section, both interviewees were asked, what influence does cultural sensitivity or awareness have on your day-to-day life as a professional? Elise mentioned that she works with clients of many diverse backgrounds and is constantly reminded to be a receptive listener. She mentioned that she is constantly reminded that there's always something to learn, always working with patients and learning about their cultural perspectives. A direct quote from Savina is as follows: being a therapist of color, I am very sought out in my field due to the fact that many clients were not properly addressed or given cultural sensitivity, and how they were treated in session. I am very aware that not only color, but race, financial status, and sexual orientation plays a huge factor in the client feeling safe and not judged in session. I have been doing therapy for over 20 years, and I continue to remind myself to remain curious. Application of the AAMFT Code of Ethics. Standard 1.1 focuses on the importance of non-discrimination and reads as follows. Marriage and family therapists provide professional assistance to persons without discrimination on the basis of race, age, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, disability, gender, health status, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, or relationship status. Challenges for future therapists. In this section, the participants were asked, what challenges do you foresee for individuals entering careers in the mental health field? Elise mentioned that incoming therapists may face struggles with burnout and lack of resources for therapists. Savina stated, I think the biggest challenge with new individuals entering the marriage and family therapy program is self-care. There are many people that are leaving our profession due to the lack of self-care, self-management, and ability to find space to consult with other clinicians. It is very easy to isolate ourselves and not collaborate or mingle with colleagues. It is very important to have a pocket of safe people to laugh with and consult with, as well as making time for exercise, eating healthily, and laughing with friends. It is also very important to exercise boundaries when family and friends seek consultation. Advice for future mental health professionals. For this section, the interviewees were asked, what advice would you give your younger professional self if you could go back in time? And what advice would you give incoming mental health professionals? Elise mentioned the importance of using our resources as much as we can while we are in graduate school. She stated that she sometimes wishes she could go back in time and ask for more advice from the more seasoned professionals. And she wishes to have stayed in contact with her graduate school peers. Sabina stated that she would tell herself to be a therapist earlier in her professional career, as she would have avoided the cost of law school. As far as advice for future therapists, she stated that we should prioritize self-care so that we are able to give from a full glass of water. She stated that taking care of ourselves is foundational for taking care of others. Law and ethics. The recovery-oriented public mental health service systems and integrative care systems. The integration of both the legal framework within the California state and the AAMFT Code of Ethics ensures that marriage and family therapists who are working within recovery-oriented public mental health and integrative systems provide ethical, competent, and legally compliant care. Standard 3.1 of the AAMFT Code of Ethics is as follows. Maintenance of competency. Marriage and family therapists pursue knowledge of new developments and maintain their competence in marriage and family therapy through education, training, and/or supervised experience. Standard 7.3 is also regarding competence and reads as follows. Competence. Marriage and family therapists demonstrate competence via education and experience in providing testimony in legal systems. So some of my overall takeaways from both of the interviews. After interviewing both participants, I kind of feel a sense of relief. Speaking to current professionals reminded me that this field does require that we remain lifelong students, whether it's learning new therapeutic techniques or being culturally competent. We are asked to approach this field as curious, empathetic, and caring human beings. Applying legal and ethical standards will be our underlying guidance, and this will allow us to remain curious, empathic, and caring within the scope of our practice. Thank you all for staying with me throughout this whole video. I had a great time recording this, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. Thank you and have a great day.